What up? What up? This is a daytime inappropriate Earl. Hold on, let me share this for a second. Let me share this. Let me figure out how to do it. There we go. There we go. Sorry about that. My bad. My bad. So the first round is underway. We have a lot of good series, some surprises, some not so surprises, but we'll start with Toronto and Tampa. Very rare that you will have two blowouts in the first two games, with each team getting the blowout. First game, Tampa looked dominant. They just looked like, okay, we might be an older team. This might be the last kick of the can, but we still got some gas left in the tank. So we're going to show you. And then last night, Toronto looked hungry. They looked dominant. And this series is going to be wild. Probably going to go 7 games. I like Tampa Bay still. I think they have the better goaltender. And I'll always go with that. Just Vasilevsky he's still got some juice in the tank for sure. But, we will see. Toronto's got a lot of firepower. It was on full display last night. What up, Dominic said. Big Bad Earl is in the house. Thanks for tuning in. I'm still not properly aware of how to promote going live. I'm working on that. But, baby steps, I suppose. We'll go to the next series. I think I picked the Rangers in 7. Might be just a bit quicker than that. Devils don't look good at all. Rangers scored 5 goals in the first 2 games each, so 10 goals total. They look real good. Jersey just looks a little lost. And it's got to be pretty discouraging for Jersey to have half the crowd rooting for the Rangers. That's got to sting a little bit. What's happening, William Zoom? Just doing a little 2 games in, round 1 NHL recap. In about a week, you will see the Earl sign right there in the rat font. So I'm excited about that. Trying to give you guys, you can see my little Sting doll right there. You see my Rowdy Roddy Piper doll, or bottle of beer, bottle of a soda, bubblegum soda. Sorry, I just woke up. I'm not going to lie to you. And then, I'm trying to give you guys a little bit more. But, the Devils better, obviously they have to win game 3 at the Garden. That's going to be tough because that building is going to be pumping. Hello. Thanks for tuning in. That's going to be... sleepy. Comedy does have its benefits, to be honest with you, William. So the Devils are not looking good at the moment. But they had a great regular season record. But this series, I think, really goes to, You can have a great regular season record, but the playoffs are just a different animal. Uh, I do keep late hours, William. That I do. Even when I stay home, like last night, I took Lois on a super long walk through Beverly Hills and, you know, wrote some jokes and watched a lot of hockey. So, even when I'm in, I'm still working. And now we get to the Bruins and the Panthers. Uh, obviously you still pick Boston in seven. You have to. Um, they are the better team, but Florida has a great team for the playoffs. A lot of skill, a lot of size, a lot of agitators, and yeah. William, I've always been a late night person, to be honest with you. Got that habit from my mom. My dad would wake up every day at 5:30 a.m., go to church and play golf and all that. Mom would go to bed at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, wake up at 3, and she was a housewife, so she didn't have to start her day at any particular time. So I think it's been ingrained in my head to just sleep in. But the weird thing is when I was on I'm Dying up here, I had no problem getting up at 4:45 in the morning to be on set at 5:30. So I can do it if I have to. So Bruins and Panthers, I still think Boston's going to win, but I think I said this before. Florida, um, they're no joke, and Kachuk is made for the playoffs, and Barkov is a great. Two-way. He's like Barkov is like the younger version of Kopitar for the Panthers. So, and the goaltender Lions played well, and it's pretty nice that they have Bobrovsky as a backup per se. So it's going to be a very, very interesting series, especially with the next two at Florida. Not that Florida is known for a great hockey crowd, but the crowd will be pumping. And I think, Boston has a lot of agitators. They've got, excuse me, Hathaway, Frederick. Nosek is kind of I never really realized how chippy he can be. I thought it was a real bad elbow he put on Stahl in the corner. And you could tell he was relishing the role. So I think game 3 will. If Florida can win game 3, watch out. They're going to come out flying. And, goaltending in Boston is, pretty good with Allmark and Swayman, but, was dealt. Hello, Improvi. I just figured out how to show the chat. Sorry about that. I'm so new at this, man. So I can't wait for game 3. It's going to be a warfare. All right, let's go to Colorado and Seattle. Probably the surprise team of the playoffs is Seattle so far. I mean, they are taking it to the Avalanche. And, I think I said this when I made my predictions that, Seattle's not to be slept on. They're fast, they're big, they've got enough goal scoring, and Grubauer, it's his old team. It's like if the Kings ever were to get by Edmonton and they play Vegas and quick, it's always I mean, I'm not saying. Well, I don't think Seattle's going to win at all, but the next two are at home, and much like the Florida Boston series, it's going to get interesting if they win. You know, obviously both games, but if they split and it's 2-2, it becomes a 3-game series. And although Gorgiev, he hasn't looked great. Grubauer's looked great. So this series, I think, will be one based on the goaltenders. I mean, McKinnon, obviously, he's in the discussion with McDavid. I think if he had a Draisaitl with him, he absolutely would be talked about with McDavid. But you know, Seattle's just they've bought into Hackstall's system, so they have a chance. I mean, I'll always go. When the series is pretty even, I'll go with what team is the best player, and that's obviously McKinnon, and what team is the better goaltending. And right now, Grubauer's outplaying Gorgiev. Not that Gorgiev's played bad; he hasn't played great. So, I think my original prediction was Colorado in 5, but I'll go Colorado in 7. Um, it's going to be a fun series because Seattle's fun to watch. They're so fast and they're young and they're aggressive, and you get the feeling they kind of have like this bad news Bears type vibe of us against the world, second year in the league. So I can't wait for Game 3. Now let's go to Vegas and Winnipeg. Um, Another close series. I mean, I think that going to my theory from the previous series, Vegas is the best player in Eichel, but I think Hellebuck's playing better than the Knights goaltending situation. They've got the three-headed monster in Vegas in goal. So, do we see Thompson or Quick come into the net? And who knows? So, I'm kind of leaning towards. I mean, I'm not going to switch my pick, but the Jets are looking good, and but the Jets. You talk about the ultimate home team advantage. I've done comedy in Winnipeg, and that has nothing to do with this playoff series. But what I can say is, I do think for a home game, Winnipeg is the best arena, and maybe all of sports. Now the problem is you got to live there, but like I can assure you, there's literally nothing to do in Winnipeg but follow the Jets. I mean, and I noticed it as soon as I got off the plane that the whole town lives, eats, and breathes Winnipeg Jets hockey. From the past, there's Dale Howardchuk jerseys hanging in store windows. There's Pokey Reddick jerseys. There's, I think I even walked into a store where they had an old Igor Ulanov Jets jersey hanging up. So Vegas is going to have a hard time the next 2 games in Winnipeg, and you can't. I know they're professional players and all, but when you basically live in the desert and you're used to 100-degree weather, and now you're going to Winnipeg, where I think when I was up there, I don't know what the weather's like this weekend, but when I was in Winnipeg, I'll never forget, it was minus 21, no wind chill. Like it was just straight minus 21. And where we were staying, I was across the street from a mall. So I like to go to malls in different cities, pick up like T-shirts and local T-shirts and whatnot, or a jacket. And let me get a Dustin Bufflin T-shirt, and I go outside. I had, I think, a pair of jeans on, 2 pairs of sweats over the jeans, and pretty much the same situation up top. I think I had like a t-shirt on, a long sleeve t-shirt, a Adidas sweatshirt, and a parka over that. And I was still cold. And the guy next to me on the corner is wearing literally shorts and flip-flops. And he looks at me and goes, "Where are you from, man?" I'm like, "Oh, LA." And he just looks at me and goes, "Pussy." So that's my story. It's cold in Winnipeg. So I'm, you know, although I think I said Vegas in 7, I'm leaning towards Winnipeg right now. Uh, but I'll stick to my original pick. I'm just saying, these series can change on a dime. Uh, well, I mean, I also went to Edmonton. I think when I went to Edmonton to play the great uh, Tammy McPherson's club uh, comic strip, which is funny because there's a restaurant named Earl's right across from it. It was -9. Same thing, no wind chill, just straight -9. But we were staying at the hotel in the mall, which, if you've ever been to Edmonton, they have the West Edmonton Mall, so it's pretty cool. And you don't leave it. Like, they literally have everything there. Supermarkets, I think at the time, it's where the Oilers practice. 1,000 stores. And it's funny because they have an argument with the Minnesota Mall, Mall of America. And I think one about who's bigger. And I think one says, well, we have the most square footage, and the other says, we have more stores. So it's kind of ridiculous. But it'll be a fun weekend in Winnipeg, I think. Now here we go to Dallas and Minnesota. This one's tough. It's really, two different teams, but they play the same. Big, strong, fast. Goaltending's, kind of equal. I think, the Wild are getting some of their injured players back. Very rough series. So it's a tough one. I think this is another series that goes 7 games, and then we'll see. We'll see what happens. I bet. I bet there are, Dominic. So let me see what it says here in chat. I wish I could just have the chat stay up, but well, yeah. Definitely, Dominic. Dallas, Minnesota could go either way. It's going to be Game 7, overtime, bad bounce. So it's really. It's anyone's ball game. Carolina and the Islanders. Obviously Carolina's up 2-0. I love the Islanders, man. They played Carolina real strong. It's not like they've played bad, but in the playoffs, it's just different than the regular season, and literally these games are won and lost on the slightest error. So you look at going back to that Florida Boston game, the first game where they lost 2-1. It was just a dumb penalty by Smith. A meaningless penalty at center ice. Bam, Pasternak scores right away. And but the Islanders, even though they're down 2-0, I do think Carolina's going to win the series, and I think I picked them in 5. But I said the Islanders will make every game count, and they have. Goaltending's been good. Just the Islanders just aren't scoring, and it's not like the Canes are blowing out the Islanders on the scoreboard. But when you're in the playoffs and the defense, gets better. Even players who don't play defense in the regular season back check. And, I even saw Patrick Kane last night back checking, which you never really see. Um, he's a bit of a cherry picker. So, game three is tonight in the Isle. So I think that, obviously it's a must win situation. And, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think the Islanders will win tonight. I mean, they're just going to come out flying. And then the last series in round one, my beloved LA Kings. I believe my original selection was Kings in 7 if Velarde and Fiala come back. Now they got Velarde back, and although they lost game 2, that goal he scored was amazing. Like, that's a Velarde goal. And I've said this before. I think Velarde has top 5 hands in the league. I'm not saying top 5 player. I'm just saying top 5 hands. Very few players. AJ. Very few players in the league who scored that goal. I mean, you're talking a handful. McKinnon, McDavid, probably Draisaitl, maybe Kempe, maybe a younger Patrick Kane. Like, very few could have done that. And then game 1, Kings without Velarde won. So it's kind of a weird, it goes against the opposite of what I said. They win the game without Velarde. They lose the game with him. By media reports out of LA, Fiala is close to coming back, but I don't think he'll play tonight, nor will Blake Lizotte. So that'll be interesting to see what the Kings do, because Lizotte he's like a little buzzsaw. He's just everywhere. He runs bigger players. He goes into the corner, and doesn't care how much bigger the other guy is. I mean, every player is going to be bigger than him. So it's going to be interesting to see who they replace him with. I mean, they have Anderson Dolan. He's an option. I mean, I don't know how they would do it. I mean, Velarde's the center, so they could move him to center. But I don't know if the Kings want that. They might want him at wing, so he can do his board moves. The Kings could bump Kapari up to the 3rd line and then have Anderson Dolan on the 4th line. But I think they like the chemistry of that 4th line, that it's Kapari, Grunstrom, and Kaliev. And Kaliev certainly has the potential to pop in a few goals. So it'll be interesting. I don't see McEwen getting in the lineup, although, you could put Velarde at center, maybe move Kaliev up and put McEwen on the 4th line. I mean, there's a couple. They have options, and you never really stop McDavid. He's just too good. I mean, even in game 1 where he didn't score, he was dominating, man. I mean, it just, Edler, who is really, I've grown to like watching Edler. He's still very smart, and he doesn't get burned a lot. And Anderson made a few nice plays on McDavid. Draisaitl's, he's stepping it up big time. So, my original choice is Kings in 7. If they can get Fiala back, say Sunday, obviously depending on what happens tonight, I still like the Kings in 7. But if they don't get Fiala back, even with Velarde back, I think the Oilers will win in 6. Hedging my bets, but you don't know who, and especially with Lizotte out now, that's a big hole. So Leafs are out, right? I don't know. No, it's tied 1-1, bro. I don't know what series you're watching, but they won last night. So the Leafs are very much in it. And well, I don't know what that means. Alex Engelbert is not running away with you. I don't know if that's a guy or a girl. I don't know if you're a guy or a girl. Not that it matters. But, all the series are, with the exception of the Rangers and Devils, all the series are pretty close. I mean, there's really no. I mean, Carolina's up 2-0, but, the Islanders could have won either game. So it's been good. And I just feel bad for the Devils because you could see it on their faces, man, when the Rangers score and the crowd erupts, and that's their home arena, their new home arena. Uh, so, uh, I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, which is weird because you saw a lot of red jerseys in the crowd, but, Ranger fans travel well. So, it's been a great first round. I mean, really the only bummer I think is going to be one of Dallas or Minnesota is going to be out in the first round. And I realize there's nothing you can do about that. Um, you know, I'm not saying the NHL should mess with the brackets or how it goes, but it just sucks that, and you'll see it in the East as well. There will be one or two good teams who are out in the first round. So it's been a very good playoff so far. Been some cheap hits. The Tampa series was pretty fun to watch last night. Toward the end of the game, fans were chirping uh, Corey Perry and Maroon in the penalty box. And this is something I'd never seen before. You saw a bunch of Tampa Bay Lightning, and I don't think they were going to storm the crowd like the Bruins did at the Garden, Madison Square Garden, that is. With Mike Milbury hitting a fan with his shoe. But I think they were just going there to support their players. And the linesman actually got in the penalty box with Maroon and Perry and shut the door. So the rest of the Lightning, I think there's like three or four of them, could not get into the penalty box. And we'd have a repeat of the Ty Domi situation in Philadelphia when the overweight fan was leaning against the glass. The glass broke, and then just Domi beat the shit out of him. I don't know a lot of the legends of. Oh, okay, Alex. Now we're getting into Misery Loves Company drama. This is a hockey playoff podcast, brother. I don't know many of the players in the podcast wars. There's a new era out there, podcast wars. Now we've got Chad streaming at the same time Kevin Brennan is. Um, I try and avoid the drama on that stuff. And I get accused of, me, Bob Levy, and I think Ray DeVito get accused for being fence sitters. But I don't really. Domi's a destroyer, but what is the deal with Ty Domi's daughter being in the. I don't know about. I know him and Mark Wahlberg are friends. Uh, but I don't talk. I don't get involved in drama unless someone has wronged me. I think I'm the furthest thing from a fence sitter when I have to pick a side if I feel wronged. I mean, I don't think too many people would have done what I did when I went on the Roast Battle podcast, which was filmed or recorded in the Comedy Central / Viacom building. And I went off on my treatment on the show. So, I pick a side when I have to. I don't have any drama with Ray. I guess this is the end of the hockey talk. Yes, the Kings. I mean, you are right, Joel. We need to certainly have a better start than not have a shot on goal for. I think our first shot on goal was like with 2 minutes left. You always want to score first. But I like the way the Kings have played. They've come back. I think Edmonton just relies too much on McDavid and Draisaitl. So if you can not shut them down, but maintain them, you got a good chance of winning. Yeah, I mean, the Oakland A's, they're kind of like the Devils in New Jersey. I just, some towns aren't good markets for sports, and that's a huge stadium in Oakland, and it's rarely, if ever, filled. I mean, Vegas. The thing that's weird about Vegas in terms of pro sports. I mean, obviously they've embraced the Knights, but that's only because the Knights have been winning. I think when the Knights have and I think the Knights are headed for a couple bad seasons from the standpoint of they have a lot of bad contracts on that team. I mean, Stone's contract is immovable. Eichel's I mean, they're not going to get rid of Eichel, but that's a pretty giant contract. And the Vegas owner, they've gone all in. They have a pretty weak prospect pool, and at some point, you just have to rebuild. So, in terms of I mean, the Raiders, they seem to be doing well in Vegas. You know, it's weird. Vegas is a weird sports town because it's really a town of transplants. It's kind of like Florida. I forget who said this, but they were wondering at the time why Florida wasn't embracing hockey, especially given the fact that it's all Canadians, or not all Canadians, but a lot of Canadians living in Florida. And someone, I think it was Charlie Finley, said, those are the Canadians who hate hockey. That's why they moved to Florida. And I think Vegas has kind of a similar vibe, where, they left whatever city or town they're in to go to Vegas, which is just a desert. They just want to be left alone and gamble or just retire and just chill. So, it's hard, I think, to get people in Vegas to embrace a sports team unless they're winning right out of the gate, like the Knights have. The Raiders have not. And if you notice, the attendance was a little sparse toward the end. So, I don't know how. And, the casinos, they'll have free giveaways for the tickets and stuff, but they don't want you at a baseball game or a hockey game, or a football game. They want you in the casinos gambling. That's why whenever I would do Vegas with Rob Schneider, Rob was really cool. He'd be like, hey, just do whatever, man. Do a half hour. Do 40 minutes. And I'd be up there, and the head of the casino would be giving me the light after 15 minutes. And I would, I'd get off, and they'd be like, what the fuck was that? I'm like, Rob told me to do 40 minutes. And they're like, we don't want him doing 40 minutes, let alone his opener. We want people in the casino. So, I do think Vegas is a very weird sports town in terms of the acceptance of the teams. You have to win right away. The Raiders are not, I could see the Raiders moving at some point. Maybe not anytime soon because they built that, gigantic stadium. And you just can't have the Killers play there. You got to have other sporting events. But it'll be very interesting to see how the Athletics do. They're going to have to win. And, they're in a very tough, the West is tough. You've got if the Angels could ever get pitching, like with their offense, like forget about it. You need a star player. You would need an Ohtani or a Trout to become the face of the franchise and take it from there. But, it'll be interesting. And in terms of the Geno stuff, I'm not really. I listen to Kevin, MLC. I listen to Chad. I don't really listen to In Hot Water, or I don't really listen to anything on Kumia, Compound. I just don't. Not because I don't like anyone on there. I just don't really know them. Sorry about the dog barking. That's out of my control. I can't wait to get out of this building. This building sucks. Um, and I don't really listen to many other things other than Chad and Kevin. I mean, I listen to a few things on Shuli's network. I listen. I used to listen to Steel Toe a lot, and nothing against those guys or guy and girl. I don't know. If I want to hear news stories, I'll turn on CNN or something. I've never really listened to who are these podcasts. Lois is not having this. So, and that's not a knock on Carl or any of those guys. I don't know, not too interested in Lois. Not that, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. Because I'm sure I don't do it for those guys. So, but I love the podcast wars. Me and my friend, yeah, sorry about the camera angle, Fred. I'm working on that. Let's see. That's too late now. Maybe, yeah, this is a little better. But this is I am hoping to move soon. Yeah, this angle is not the best. But, right now it's how I'm doing it. I mean, there's not many other streams that look like this. So that's hopefully what grabs you. Like, what the fuck is this? And when I had the Earl sign right there, I think it'll be pretty cool. Yeah, Chad's one of my better comedy friends. So I think he's running out of people to feud with. But, like I said, I only talk poorly about people unless they've wronged me. And Chad hasn't wronged me. Kevin hasn't wronged me. Really, no one's wronged me outside of the shows I've already talked about in depth. So, I'm in a pretty good place right now in terms of shit talking. But I don't really talk shit, to be honest with you. I talk more facts. Because I think when you stick to the facts, hola, you're really hard to go up against. Like with Roast Battle and Jeff, I kept it factual. So that's why I don't think Jeff has ever gone after me publicly, because he knows I'm right. And not that I debate or argue or whatever you want to call what I was doing. But I think when you stick with the facts, it's very hard to go. I'm very hard to go up against. Whitney has not wronged me. That's Whitney Cummings, not Whitney Rice, my ex-girlfriend. Both very talented, but I was not asked to do the Burt roast. I wish I was, but they know of my capabilities. If you've seen the Shane Doan roast on YouTube, I can deliver on any roast. Because roasting is different than roast battle. A lot of people thought just because I was good at roast battle, I'd be good at roasting. I'm one of the few that's good at both. And it's a different skill set, because roasting, you're paying tribute. Like if I was ever asked to roast Joe Rogan, which I probably would not be, because I'm not in Joe's inner circle. You're going to make fun of Fear Factor, News Radio, some of the Affliction t-shirts he wore. But then you're going to wrap it up as a tribute and talk about, how great his career is, his body is. Thank you, JC. Yes, Jimmy Carr is the best. I'm like Chad Zumach on tranquilizers. Most people think I do drugs. I do not. I've never had a drug in my life. I actually am drug free, never had a drink, not even a cigarette. This is just how I talk, which is why I get a lot of voiceover work because I'm just so monotone. Someone said to me once that they should play my voiceover work to people who are trying to come off of methadone. But yes, me and Jimmy Carr was awesome. Jimmy, and I think I said this before, followed me around the whole day. I literally everywhere I would turn around, Jimmy was behind me, and I love Jimmy. He is an amazing comic roaster. It was a true honor to go up against him. I even pitched the idea when they did 2 seasons of Roast Battle in the UK that he hosted. I like, let me go up against him in the UK because most people don't. Most people in the UK don't think I beat him. It'd be the perfect way to open up the show. Because the reality is, no one remembers one battle from the UK roast battle. That's what I think in terms of my season. Although I do think Frank Castillo winning is one of the best stories to come out of roast battle. Literally, the guy who works at the time across the street taking tickets at the door just beat all these famous comics. But you know, I think my season. I think my season had the more high end roasters, and they also had some of the more lower end roasters. I mean, you know, roast battle really is the only show in television history that I think jumped the shark season 1. Yes, I did love the Ric Flair roast. I absolutely loved being on that. But you know, you got to have the cast that shouldn't have been on the show. I mean, all great comics. I mean, the 16 of us were all good comics. But Roast Battle's not a good comedy. Roast Battle is basically skilled bullying. You know, like I knew every battle I did, I was going to be called old. So how do I call someone fat before they call me old, or you know, something? That's how I was going into it. So you know, but like Ralphie May, he's a shit talker. I mean, I still talk about him like he's a lot, but like he's not someone who should have been on Roast Battle. Roast Battle, you have to be prepared. It's skilled, prepared bullying, is what I say. So, and you know, Sam Morril, one of the best comics working, but he's not a Roast Battle comic. Mark Norman, maybe the best comic working. I watched him destroy the other night in the main room at the Comedy Store, but he's not a roast battle comic. Miss Pat, one of the best comics working. She's like Ralphie. She's more of a shit talker. Christy Cello, she's brilliant. Like she's a one woman play type of comic. You know, Chris Cubis was not really a roast battle comic. You know, I've literally just named half the fucking cast. And Roast Battle is a show that you don't need celebrities on. Like if you look at Wild and Out doesn't use any celebrities, or very few that I know of. I'm not gonna lie, I don't watch the show, but what are they, 23 seasons in? You look at Yo Mama, no celebrities. I mean, even the host, you're like, who is this guy? Oh, that's the guy from that 70s show. And the great George Perez won it. But, you know, I think it went like 12 seasons or something. Roast Battle limped to 3 seasons. Because they got, whether it was Jeff and his manager or the network or all three, were like, we got to get celebrities on. You know, we got to get the Sklar brothers on. And I love the Sklar brothers. They're great. But they're not roasters. They're not roast battlers. You know, Blake Griffin, NBA player, never done it before. Like, what? So where you take someone like a LA comic like Doug Fager. Now, Doug is one of the great roast battle comics of all time. And he would have killed on the TV show because he's so good. He's a good looking guy. He's got a presence. Now, I don't care if he gets on the show or not in terms of, like, it doesn't affect my life. But a TV credit to Doug would be huge. He could do a little road work, get paid more. But they wanted celebrities, and it was an utter disaster. So that's about it, guys. If you have any last questions, last minute questions, let me know. I don't think that season one of Roast Battle will be topped. I just don't. I mean, how many people remember season two? Like, name me a battle of season two. People still talk about me and Jimmy Carr. And what was that? 7 years ago? Name me a battle from season three. Like, you can't. And that's not like shit talking. It's just factual. Um, so, and the Ric Flair roast was awesome. The Kraken is still alive, yes. Oh, but Mark Norman is great. I mean, well, you're getting late to the party, Lenny, but I will answer your question because you've been a loyal soldier of the Earl Army. I mean, game three is huge because I think the Bruins have enough firepower, but you too, brother. Thanks for, or unless you're a girl, thank you. I don't know what that name is. But the Panthers have a lot of grit. And, in the playoffs, grit sometimes wins over skill. Like, I was watching the Kraken game the other night, last night, and they just wanted it more. They just did. So, I mean, yeah. Kraken, hey, listen, it's 1-1 going back to Seattle. Mark Norman is great. A great guy, too. Very nice and friendly. We always exchange hugs when we see each other. I have a spot tonight at the Comedy Store, so no, I will not be. Oh, hey, Trisha. You are a woman. Excuse me. Excuse me. And speaking of the Ric Flair, Rose, here is now. The money was great. Meeting Ric Flair was great. But in all my years of stand-up comedy, I think I'm 23 years in now. I've met a lot of cool people. Gotten a lot of cool presents from fans sending me wrestling dolls and whatever. But the coolest thing I've ever gotten in the world of my stand-up career is the official Earl Skakel doll, which seems probably pretty stupid to you guys. Yes, Skakel Mania is running wild. I'm just trying to get to 4,000 hours of listens so I can start charging you guys to talk to me. No, I'm just kidding. See, that's the difference between me and a lot of people who do the super chats. I'll still read every chat. I mean, obviously, if I'm getting hundreds of people in the chat, which is my goal, I will try my best to read as many as I can. But I've finally figured out that 23 years into comedy, I should start charging people for my services. Just a little bit. Just a weeny bit. RFK running. I don't think he's going to win. Larry Elder's not going to win. It's going to either be Biden. It'll probably be Biden again. Trump just has too much bad stuff happening to him. And I don't mind saying I voted for Trump last election. His policies are he's a scummy guy, like, no doubt. A horrible person, but I don't vote for the best person. If you vote for the best person, you'll vote for Jeb Bush. Like, nice guy, qualified to do the job, but he's boring. So it'll be interesting to see if Trump runs with he's got like 4 court cases coming. And the possibility of losing all 4. So I don't know. But I think he's yes. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's my aunt. I don't think Ethel Kennedy's seen anyone at 87 years old or however old she is. But that's my dad's sister. Shout out to Ethel Kennedy. And a shout out to RIP to Sam, the Armenian comedian, local LA comic, Ding Dong Show legend. Also, a Canadian legend passed away this week. He dabbled in LA comedy, the great Daryl Lennox. I'm around so much death in comedy, it doesn't even bother me anymore. Oh, no doubt, Joel. And I absolutely, when Daryl, I think we lost Daryl and Sam the same day. I don't think anyone's jealous of this podcast setup, but I am very proud of my Earl sign in the rat font that will be there at a cost of $492, I might add. No, Mark Maron's always cool to me. I asked him to be on the pod, but, obviously I haven't been on it. So, what can you do? I got to start getting my name out there a little more. I mean, it's a young person's game. And at 54, I don't think many agencies or managers are going, we need a comic who's in their mid-50s that nobody's heard of. But I'm doing my best. Like, if you're local tonight, I'm at the Comedy Store, midnight in the original room, doing the Comedy Store Wrestling podcast before that. So, if you're ever in LA or if you're already here living, but Carrot Top made it a long time ago. I haven't made it yet. So clock be ticking. So, but I'm too dumb to quit. So I'll keep charging like a rhino. And I have a very small fan base. But Tim Dillon recently told me in the green room of the main room as I was waiting to go on, and he was talking to comics. He just looked at me and goes, Earl, all you need is 2,000 fans and you can be successful. So right now I've got 13 in chat. So, hey, I just need another 1,885 more. So I didn't finish college, so I don't know what that is. 1,887 fans, and then I'll make it. But I still love doing comedy. That's why I keep doing this. So I appreciate it, guys. If you have any last second questions, I'm about to log off. And is Barry Ribs your inspiration? No, he is not. Nothing against Barry Ribs. Well, I mean, when you look back, William, at the very first Republican debate with Trump, I really think that I don't even think Trump thought he would win. I think he thought he would just do it for a goof. And, be promotion for the Apprentice. You too, Lenny. And then he did pretty well in the first debate. Does even better in the second debate. And kind of coasted in the third debate. But, like I said, he's a horrible person. But I think what he's best at is he is good at labeling people. And Jeb Bush was probably the most qualified out of all those Republicans. Ran the state of Florida. People were pretty happy. That is where John Hinckley's paintings went up. Good for him. But then Trump, it wasn't even a sentence. Low energy Jeb. Basically labeled him as someone who would not have the energy to fly all over the world and do the job. And that ruined the guy. He had no comeback for it. So, Biden is, I don't want to get too political here, because the risk of being political on a hockey podcast is you'll lose half the people listening because they like Biden. I don't dislike Biden, but, it is concerning to me. Now, I talked a minute ago about ageism in comedy, and there definitely is. I don't know if I want a president who, at the start of his next term, will be in his 80s. I mean, you're 80 years old. You don't have the energy you did to fly around the world and deal with, 50 crises at one moment. That's a regular 80-year-old, let alone the president. So, we'll do a politics podcast later. I've already lost one person, probably Democrat. That's all right. I'm independent. I think both sides are full of shit. That's just me being honest. Selling tickets is different than running the country. 100% P. But I find that, in America anyway, I'll assume you're from America. But I got some Canadian listeners. Hunter Biden? Am I going to have Hunter Biden on the show? Probably not. I would, though. I'd be a good interview. Uh, but I think in America, what sells better than actual policy is being a salesman. I think people want to be entertained. Obama was, the way he spoke was like a pro wrestler. Okay, cool. I'm from America too. Um, I think, Bush had that likability of like, I'd like to go to a baseball game with him and drink a beer. Uh, Biden's like the creepy uncle. So they're all likable in their own weird way. Trump he's not really likable, but, he's so bombastic and buffoonish, you kind of like can't help but watch. But, Trump to me is like Kiss. Kiss will never expand. Kiss has never really had a crazy selling album, you know, uh, because only Kiss fans like Kiss. And I think that only Trump fans like Trump. Like Trump will never expand his base. Just like Kiss will never. Kiss will sell the same amount of records, whether it's a good record or a bad record. And I think that's the problem upcoming for Trump is you got to at least have a few people from the other side going, yeah, we don't like Biden. We'll go with Trump. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Fred. I mean, listen, that's how it starts. Yes, I do. I will be there Sunday. I don't have tickets yet. Who's a better artist, John Hinckley or Hunter Biden? That I don't know. John Wayne Gacy. I'll go with that. Yes. I mean, Jose, I still like Tampa in 7 because Tampa beat Toronto up in game 1. So I think that's going to be back and forth. And thank you to the people listening right now. I know, like in a couple hours, what time is it now? It's 12:43 my time. I know in an hour, Kevin Brennan will have 800 people in chat. Chad will have I don't know 400 or 500 in chat. So I do appreciate the probably 20 overall people who've been listening. So not that this is not an official Inappropriate Earl podcast. This is more of a YouTube stream. Uh, you're still the same good guy I heard with more. Yes, I really am, JC. And a shout out to Gabriel Morency, who from day one was the first guy to put me on American and Canadian radio and gave me a little bit of a fan base and still puts me on Sports Grid Radio. So follow Gabriel Morency on Sports Grid Radio. He's helped me out a lot. And I'm losing followers. I think it was the politics talk. Oh yes, I mean we're a good team. Oh, I just gained a follower. A Republican came in. Maybe it was a Larry Elder fan. I only do the road, Jose, if it pays well, and I'm not a big name to be honest. And my biggest TV credit is a cartoon, and cartoons are a weird level of not fame, but a weird television credit because you're heard, you're not seen. So I hope to come to Toronto. I love playing Canada, Edmonton, Vancouver. Obviously, season 1 of Roast Battle was in Montreal. I really enjoyed it. I mean, when you're a hockey fan and you go to a country where hockey's a religion, it's pretty neat. So sooner than later, and reach out to you. I'm not trying to get my fans to do the dirty work. Who's Dark Globe 1977? Yes, I would love to come to Edmonton to play Tammy's club. She also has House of Comedy in Vancouver. I think they have a club now in Plano, Texas. Obviously, they're a club in Scottsdale, Mall of America in Minnesota. I just saw Tammy. Tammy is the owner of the comic strip in Edmonton and House of Comedies throughout America. Uh, I've not heard of Kelly Taylor. Hockey guy, you two would get along. I have not. There's a lot of comics out there, bro. But, he probably has never heard of me. So when I say I've never heard of a comic, I don't mean that in a mean way. Uh, I just, just there's a lot of people out there. Earl needs to come to Baltimore. The town needs. I would come to Baltimore, but once again, William and Jose, I think from Toronto. I'm in that weird. I'm in the worst, not fame, but worst. Well, I guess you could say fame level of. I'm known, but I'm not known. McGrubies. I don't know what McGrubies means. I'll have I'll have a feeling it means something with tits. But I hope to start. I'm trying to get a few. I just threw out my voiceover reel. Oh, okay. I see. I did not know that, Fred. I'm trying to get some more voiceover work. All I need is like maybe a bigger cartoon on Netflix or Adult Swim, and then I could be. Mark Norman's great. Who are you siding with? CM Punk with FTR and the Elite. I see. Here's the thing. Now we'll talk a little bit of wrestling. Uh, um, um, we've got Forbidden Door coming, and I know there's definitely a lot of. I have a lot of comic friends in Toronto. Steph Tolev, who now lives out here, she's one of my good friends. Jason Rouse, I think he's from Ottawa, but he plays in Toronto a lot. So I do hope to get up there. But I only want to travel if it pays well. I'm 23 years in. I'm done doing comedy at a loss or just breaking even. Um, I just paid my final tax bill from Just for Laughs in 2016. What? Hold on, I'm getting a communique from for a voiceover gig. Oh God, we got my friends living at a condominium place, and she's sending me a picture of a girl with huge tits by the pool. So let me just tell her to get my number to her. Hello! I'm just kidding. Let me see if I missed any chat. I am a one-man operation here, so sorry, but so getting back to CM Punk and FTR against the Elite. I want to see. Well, here's the thing. You've got what is it? Forbidden Door coming up, and I think that's going to set up the Super Show in London, which I'm very excited about. But the problem is with the London show, which I probably am going to, it's an international crowd that's going to be in that stadium. So you've got to really stack it, and stock it with international guys like Okada from New Japan, Will Ospreay from New Japan. And he and Omega have such good chemistry. I want to see Omega and Ospreay part two. MJF is big in America, but I don't know how he is globally. So, and he's the champ, at least right now. And I'll assume he'll be the champ then. So you got to have a good match for him. Maybe Omega and MJF. But I really, no, I don't think the Oilers in five. Like I said at the beginning of this, I think if Fiala comes back by Sunday, obviously depending on what happens tonight, I think the Kings in seven. If no Fiala, I think the Oilers in six. And now Lazat's out. Well, how would MJF do in roast battle? Roast battle is different. Like yes, Kempe in the house. Uh, Roast battle is just bullying, you know. Whereas I think, roasting he'd be good at because he could just shit on someone They kind of have to sit there and take it. I think I would beat MJF in roast battle. It's because it's the Jimmy Carr effect of, MJF is not used to someone ripping into him who's funny and capable. Um, but he'd be good at it. Um, I mean, obviously, when you're battling someone that's successful, I, you know, hold on, let me. I don't think Jack Hughes will ever overtake um, Connor McDavid. I've seen Gretzky in his prime. I've seen Mario Lemieux in his prime, Mark Messier in his prime. No one is as good as McDavid at high speed. And I realize what I'm saying. I'm a King fan. Um, I grew up seeing Marcel Dion in his prime. It's not just how fast McDavid is, it's what he does at the rate of speed he's at. I've never seen anything like it before. And even in game one, where he uh, didn't score, he was still dominating. Well, but that's the thing, though. I think, it's hard to say. In terms of Hughes, he'll definitely be a top 10 player, but McDavid is going to do things that very few players have ever done. I don't think anyone will ever get Gretzky's points record. It's just too much to overtake, but he's going to get a couple of Gretzky's records. McKinnon's great too. I'd love to see McKinnon with Draisaitl. McKinnon's kind of a one man. Colorado has some good players, but like McKinnon's next level. But he's kind of doing it mostly on his own. So, um, I would love to take on MJF in a roast battle. And he seems like the type that would do it too. But the Yager of new faces, I don't know about that. I do have, let me show you this. Sorry about that. You mentioned Yager. There is a signed picture of Jaromir Yager. And also a signed picture of Mark St. John in Kiss. He's only on them for one album. Go get when I used to wear a Jofa helmet, they would call me Baby Yager because I had a mullet, like a curly haired mullet. It's pretty cool. So I gotta get going, guys and girl. Thank you. 13 people. That's not too bad. I'm gonna start streaming a little more. I know. Well, it depends who else is still in the league. Even McDavid or McKinnon slowing down, I think, will be better than Hughes. But what's fake, wrestling or Nikki Sixx's life base parts? Both. Now you guys are getting funny. But he's a great player, and with Timo Meyer with him, and I'm sure they'll get some good draft picks. They have a decent prospect pool. He's definitely a star on the rise for sure. But the NHL is a brutal. If you look at Quentin Byfield of the Kings, he's struggled his first couple of years in the league, and I think he's going to be great. But it's such a difference between the pros, even the AHL. I hope he's not trying to fight in the UFC. But I'm an AEW guy. I have a lot of friends in AEW. So I'm looking forward to Forbidden Door. I'm a big Will Ospreay fan. Okada, rumors of Kenny Omega reforming the Golden Lovers. That'd be pretty cool. So I just like their roster better than WWE right now. But I love you guys all. I don't ask for money. But if you can follow me on, let's say, YouTube. I'm Earl Skakel everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, MySpace, TikTok. If you can share any videos, that helps. Jay White's awesome. I love Jay White. Yeah, he definitely is a young Patty Kane for sure. I love Switchblade. Maybe Jay White and Omega. Dude, missed out on Stutzla. It's easy now to go, we should have drafted Stutzla. But I think Byfield was the right call. I mean, and it's hard because I think Byfield and Lafreniere, I think combined have like 45 goals combined in their years in the league, and I think Stützle has like close to 90. It's tough. I mean, as you know, Joel, you're drafting teenagers. It's crazy. And it's just tough. Some are better adapted to play against men, and others aren't. Byfield to me still looks like a horse let out of the barn. He just, although the other night in Edmonton, I think the game they won, he made a play where he does not have McDavid's speed, but from the blue line in, I think McDavid's speed was transferred to him, and he made this amazing run into the corner, chipped the puck, and it got, I think, Kempe's first goal. It was because of Byfield. So he does show you these flashes of, okay, this is why he was number 2 overall. But he's definitely struggled, because I don't think he's used to playing against guys his size, guys as fast as he is. You got to understand, in Ontario, he's probably the biggest guy in his team, where he's not even the biggest guy in his line. Kopitar is. I'm just talking about physical size. And he was the fastest guy probably in the league, where he's not even the fastest guy on his line. Kempe is. So it's a huge adjustment period for these kids. And he's still only 20. I can't even invite him to the Comedy Store yet. So don't give up on Byfield yet. But Stützle is definitely, he's the real deal. But yeah, I'm glad we have Byfield. Yeah, I mean, I know you really like UFC heavyweights. Hold on. I didn't see that last. Sorry about this. Boxing fight. I didn't even know there was a boxing fight tomorrow. I don't really follow boxing anymore. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely disappointing, Joel, seeing what Byfield has done, or hasn't done. Especially on the first line. I'm a Kaliev guy. Yeah, I mean, look, I have a friend of mine who played for the Kings, Ian LaPerriere. I think he was a 40-goal scorer in junior. I don't think he ever had more than 15 in the pros. My friend Boko Imama had 41 goals his last year in junior. Now, to put that into perspective, Boko Imama had more goals than Nico Hischier, who was drafted first overall. And yet in the pros, so far, it hasn't really translated for Boko in terms of goal scoring. He's tough enough, but in this era, you gotta pop it in every now and then. Look at Velarde. It's basically taken Velarde 5 years to get accommodated to the league. Yes, no problem, Dark Lobby. I do my best. I should have been doing these streams a little earlier, but I'm always late to the party. So if you guys can share the wealth, whether it be, whatever, my pictures on Instagram, or I don't know. Yes, I'll see you Sunday, Joel. You can't do this without the fans. I mean, Tim Dillon is a household name now because of the fans. Matt Rife, a young comic, is selling out, not stadiums, but he's selling out comedy clubs because of the fans. So, yeah, I mean, Stützle's the real deal. He's just good. He's got a big body. He's kind of chippy, too. I think Byfield will be there. It just... I did see him being interviewed without his shirt off. He's a little skinny, but he's 20. He's 6'4", 215, but he's a little skinny. He's a skinny 215. And when you're going into the corners against, Tom Wilson or, Ryan Reeves, a Clutter, but even a littler player like Clutterbuck, it's tough. But I think Byfield will end up like Joe Thornton. The first couple of years are rough, and then he turns into a very, very good player. So this has been hockey talk, political talk, out of control, dude, out of control. AS. We talked a little politics, Talked a little bit about the shitty building I live in West Hollywood. We got a new roof put in, and it was in the contract that the roofers aren't responsible for interior damage. And I have 3 cracks in 3 different areas of my ceiling, and they're saying it's my fault. Okay. When I leave, I'll give out the homeowners association's email, and you guys can just spam them. Fuck it. At Earl Skakel everywhere. I'm at the Comedy Store tonight, midnight in the original room. Listen to the Comedy Store Wrestling Podcast. That's pretty close. I don't think he'll be better than McKinnon. But, who knows, bro? Like, anything's possible. The way they develop or don't develop. But McKinnon's a pretty big bar to put him up against. I literally been catching at least one NHL game since you streamed your predictions. Starting to dig it. Oh, good. I mean, that's the point. I mean, hockey is very much like my comedy career. It really relies on the fans. It's not a great sport on TV. It just isn't. It probably never will be. You can put in glowing pucks, tracking pucks. You can make it look like a video game, which if you look at ESPN's presentation, you feel like you're watching NHL 23. And I'm sure that's not on purpose. They're trying to get the kids interested. And it's tough. I mean, the puck just moves too fast. And the cameramen are probably the most valuable players. I mean, can you imagine you see Connor McDavid wind up for a slap shot? I'll see it. Oh, thank you, Drift. Retweet it or whatever if you can. Thank you. I mean, there's 12 people listening right now. If you guys all share this, and notice I'm not asking for money. If you guys shared it or whatever, Instagram story, it would help me. I'm not going to lie there. So, yeah, at Earl Skakel everywhere. Inappropriate Earl, the podcast. I'm going to start doing it a little more. I'm just, I've lost, my enthusiasm for the show goes, thank you, JC. I did buy 5 t-shirts from Pro Wrestling Tees recently. 2 Will Ospreay shirts, 2 Omega shirts, and a Sean Spears, the perfect 10. So I love you all. Earl Skakel, over.